Hey math kids, we're going to use the binomial theorem to figure out the x to the fifth coefficient in this situation. So what we're going to do first is just expand this part. And so our r is going to be 0 and our n is going to be 6 on the first one. So it's going to be 6, 0, 2 to the x, or 2x, raised to the 6 minus 0, and then negative 1 raised to the 0 for that first one. Now, I think I showed you on a previous video, but if you have 6c0, or just the second, the bottom right here is a 0, it's always just going to go to this value. So this is really just it's going to go to a 1. And the reason why, it's 6 factorial, 0 factorial, 6 minus 0 factorial. 0 factorial is just a 1, so it's not really going to change anything. And this ends up being 6 factorial over 6 factorial, which is just a 1. So that means this entire thing's a 1. And when we're multiplying, that doesn't change anything. Okay, when we raise anything to a 0, that's also a 1, so that doesn't change anything. 6 minus 0, that doesn't change anything either. So the first coefficient for this thing is going to be, or the first term is 2 to the x quantity to the 6. Okay, now the next one's going to be 6, 1, 2 to the x raised to the fifth, and then negative 1 raised to the first, plus the next one is 6, 2, 2 to the x to the fourth, minus 1, this time it's squared, and then plus dot dot dot. Okay, we still have the x plus 3 multiplied by this thing. Now we want to get x to the fifth, so there's a couple ways we can do it. We can do this 3 multiplied by the x to the fifth term, or we can do x times by the x to the fourth term. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply those out individually, and then we'll just add them together, and that should be the answer that we need. Okay, so I'm going to take the first, I'll do the 3. So 3 times 6, 1, 2x to the fifth times negative 1 to the 1. And then over here we're going to get x times 6, 2, 2x to the fourth, negative 1 squared. And then we'll add both those answers together. Okay, so let's do the combination first, 6, 1. So 6 factorial over 1 factorial, 6 minus 1 factorial. 6 minus 1 is really a 5, and so if I write this as 6 times 5 factorial over 1 times 5 factorial, these cancel, and I'm left with 6 over 1, so this thing is really just a 6. Okay? Now, this part I need to raise everything to the fifth, and so when I do 2 to the fifth, I'm gonna get just 2 to the fifth, 32. Yeah, 32. So 3 times 6 times 32 times negative 1 times x to the fifth. Okay. Let me just get my calculator out. So 3 times 6 times 32 gives us 576, and that would be negative. Alright, so we got that. Now over here, we're going to do this factorial, so this combination. 2 factorial, 6 minus 2 factorial. That's really a 4 factorial, so if I do 6 times 5 times 4 factorial, these will cancel, and 2 factorial is really just 2, so 30 divided by 2 gives me a 15. Okay, 2 to the 4th is 16, so I'm going to get 15 times 16 times 1, and then x times x to the 4th is x to the 5th. And so if we go to the calculator, where's my calculator? 15 times 16 is 240. And if we add those together, so we have 240 minus 576, we get negative 336 x to the 5th. And so the coefficient would just be the negative 336 in the front. Okay, that's everything for this video. If you need additional help, please come to Math Lab. Until then, calculator.